Hi there, I'm Jamie Taylor. Welcome to Your Health Matters, brought to you by Kingman Regional Medical Center, your community-owned hospital. Every week in this program, I have a different guest and we talk about different programs, services, and opportunities available for you and your family here at Kingman Regional. I hope you'll stay tuned and join us because we'll be back right after these messages with an exciting guest. Welcome back to Your Health Matters. My guest today is Jennifer Hardy, who is the program coordinator for the OptiFast weight loss program, right?
Correct.
All right, I got that right. Yay.
Very good.
So OptiFast, I know you were on the program a year or two ago when we first brought OptiFast to the Wellness Center, right?
Correct.
To our diabetes education program. So, but you've shared with me that there's changes.
There are changes.
So what's going on?
So we're hoping to kind of revamp the program into something where you just aren't doing OptiFast. And OptiFast may be something that you don't do at all. It may just be more exercise and behavior modification. We're going to call it now 90 Days to Change.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So in 90 days, I can be a whole new person?
You might be on the right path.
Okay.
That's what we're hoping
Right.
to develop.
Well, and it makes sense because we all know that weight loss is a matter of changing our our habits, right?
Right.
I mean, and how we eat and how we exercise and all those kind of things.
Exactly, and it's not just food. I think if I sat down and I asked you what's healthy food, you'd pretty much know.
Right, yeah.
Right? I think most individuals
doesn't mean I do it, but I know
Right.
it.
Exactly. So this 12 weeks gives you time to make those changes. And someone's holding you accountable, so that's great.
That, truthfully, that is a big difference. Because we can all go on diets till we're blue in the face, but if we don't have to tell anybody or be accountable for it, it's different.
Right. So we'd have weekly weigh-ins.
Oh.
We'd meet for an hour and speak, whereas half the hour is going to be with the personal trainer, and they're going to give you some exercise goals and even maybe some workout tips that they might suggest.
Okay.
And then the other half an hour is going to be dedicated to with the dietitian, which would be me, who would speak about nutrition or behavior modifications.
Okay.
Because I know it's not just food. There's a trigger. There's lots of things.
Like
and
what? Like what's a trigger?
the TV, the screen.
Oh.
Because when you get home and you sit down, what do? Do you de-stress? And when you de-stress, do you reach for a bag of potato chips or a piece of candy?
See what you're saying, yeah.
And so then that becomes a trigger. Or you get in front of the computer and you start just munching.
And you're not even paying attention, it's just sitting there next to you and
It's a whole theory we call mindful eating.
mindful eating.
With
Yeah,
food.
that makes sense. Being aware of what you're doing and not just doing it. Well, they talk about it, and we've probably talked about it on the show before with you, and that if you don't sit down and like enjoy your meal, if you just like sitting in front of the TV or at the computer, whatever, and eating, and you don't even pay attention to what's going into your mouth, right? And you
even
probably
taste
don't. I was just gonna say you don't even enjoy it because you're focusing on something else.
Right. And that's one of those big weight loss tips we tell people.
Yeah, but
Takes-
then putting it into effect,
Is
right?
another thing.
Yes,
Right.
you can know it here, but
Right, and one approach may work for one individual. So if we have 12 different sessions where we meet each other, you may come to one of the sessions and be like, that really didn't affect me. But the person next to me, that really affected because that was something they needed to work on. And so hopefully that's why we have so many different classes, and it also that accountability.
Right.
And then after that 3-month period with the 12 weeks, every month after for 3 months we'll follow up because studies show if you have those 6 months, that really helps with that change.
well, they talk about too. You have to change a habit. Basically, you have to do it 21 times, I think, or something like that
Right.
to make it become a new habit. Like we talked about putting a seatbelt on back in the old days when it wasn't a law.
Right.
But they said if you did it 21 mornings in a row, then all of a sudden it become a habit. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, now I can't drive without it, but I remember when it was like a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what you're doing is trying to help people develop new habits.
Right.
Okay.
And they can add on certain things, like maybe they need more help with, let's say, nutrition. They can add on something where they talk with a dietitian a little bit more, or maybe they need a little more help with exercise.
Okay.
They can add on a personal trainer, or they need help with the food. And
They
that's
add
where the
on you.
OptiFast comes on.
Okay.
The OptiFast comes in to say, okay, we can replace a meal here and here, because these are the two meals I have the hardest time with, or a
So,
snack.
Which is normal? Is it usually lunch and dinner are the hard ones, or
I
what do you
think breakfast. People
Breakfast.
skip breakfast
Right.
all the time because
And
they're in a
that's-
rush.
And skipping is almost as bad as overeating, isn't it?
Right, because then
end
you
up-
tend to overeat.
Right, you get super hungry, and then so when you do get food, you're like,
Right. I don't see people skipping dinner very much, but breakfast and lunch.
Yeah,
And sometimes
yeah.
they need a snack, and then we make unhealthy snack choices, right? Chips are really easy, cookies are really
Sure.
easy.
Well,
They're
that's
shelf-stable.
right. And then the other thing, of course, if you go hungry and you go grocery shopping, all of a sudden you've got a lot more in your cart than was on your list,
Oh my
right?
goodness, yes. So there's a lot of tricks to grocery shopping, that's for sure.
And those are things you can help coach them through.
Exactly.
Okay.
We have healthy shopping, cooking light. We talk about all those different aspects to make sure people feel prepared, because that program isn't always going to be there, right? But it's hopefully giving them a good foundation to make healthy
And the
changes.
tools they need to continue on. And that's, I guess, it's one thing to, like, and I think in the past, AptaFast, it was like the whole, you used it for all the foods, right? And so
Correct.
then when you were done with the program, unless you continued using those foods, was it pretty easy for them to gain the weight back, do you
Some
think?
individuals, I think it's hard for what we do with the original OptiFast program. They were on OptiFast for 12 weeks, and then at the 13th week, they transitioned back onto food. So then they had a whole 6-week period where they're transitioning back to food, and by that last week, they're supposed to be completely on food so that they feel
Okay.
comfortable.
Okay.
There was just things that we saw with cost and things like that hopefully changing the program in a different way could be more cost effective
Right.
or cost affordable for our community.
Right.
And I know it can be harder at times because now I'm relying more on people to eat, and that can be hard at times.
Sure, but at the same time, I think it's more realistic for them as well. From the
Correct.
very beginning, you're not just totally eliminating food.
Right.
You're learning to, like I said, change their life patterns, and that's really important. It's kind of like quitting smoking. You know, it's taking a bad habit and replacing it with something else. So
Right.
that's pretty exciting, though. I really like the sounds of this new program, and it's timely. Okay, we're coming into the holidays, and we'll talk about that probably a little later. But we all know what happens during the holidays if you're not careful.
Right.
So, and a lot of people, New Year's resolutions, they want to lose weight and make a healthier lifestyle change. So, having this program will be a good way to help them.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll be in place by the first of the year?
Yes, we're hoping
Okay.
to start a new group at the mid-January. So that
Okay,
gives people time to
perfect.
think about what their New Year's resolution is and see
Right.
if they need a little bit of help. We can get them signed up.
Awesome. Well, yeah, that's a good thing too, because a lot, you'll wake up January 1st going, okay, I'm resolved. I'm going to
Right.
do this, and this. And then January 2nd comes and you're like, well, maybe not so much.
Right.
So this gives them some time to kind of work through and make sure this really is something I want to do.
Right.
Because you do have to be committed to it in any weight loss program, just the time alone. Coming, so it's like an hour class once a week that they
Right.
come to? Mm-hmm. And will that be here at the Wellness Center?
It will be at the Wellness Center.
Okay, so that's going to work well. Now, you mentioned they're going to work with a personal trainer. So I'm assuming they get, is the membership part to the Wellness Center? How does that work?
So that would be a different fee if
Okay.
they wanted to start joining the membership for the gym. And that
Okay.
might be something where they want to try a couple months and things like that. And we can speak more about that as well.
Well, and that's a good thing too, because now we don't have that 1-year contract or that they
Right.
have to do. They can go month to month as well. So it all fits together
Correct.
better than it used to.
Yes.
But so you said the personal trainer will just come in.
And talk to the class, and they might
Okay.
1 week like focus on arm exercises,
Okay.
leg exercise, proper hydration, modifications if you're having pain. What's pain versus what's a
discomfort?
workout? Yeah, right. Because you need to know if you've had an injury, and
Sure,
you say, I'm
yeah.
going to just power through because I'm only sore because I just started working out.
Right,
when
yeah.
that can cause a really big injury, and we don't
Sure.
want that happening
Yeah,
for our
no.
patients.
So, and funny you mentioned that too, because I was just this morning, because I've got my knee issues going on right now, and I was like, I just need to get back to working harder, and I'm like, no, you can't. That knee just isn't going to let you do that.
no, don't do that.
No.
That just makes it worse.
Yeah, but finding and I'm sure having someone like that, a personal trainer that can help give you some ideas. Okay, you don't want to like start doing leg presses 200 pounds when you've got a bad knee,
Right,
but
but
there are
this
other
might be
things you
better.
could do to strengthen whatever.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Exactly, and they're there then if they have questions, concerns, and to set them up with a goal. Like maybe your goal is 150 minutes this week of exercise to get, and half of it's aerobic and half of it's weightlifting or something like of that
Okay.
nature to kind of help them have a target goal
Which,
and what works.
and you mentioned that 150 minutes, and it's 30 minutes
Five
a day.
times a week.
5 times a week is what they recommend, right?
For weight loss, we usually recommend 60 minutes, 5 times a week.
Oh. So
I
30
know.
minutes is
30 minutes
maintenance.
is to maintain health, yes.
Okay. Guess I have to bump it up some.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard and it's not an easy thing.
Right, yeah. But again, it's that commitment. I
Right.
mean, if you're seeing the effects on your health of your weight, I know with my knee that taking that weight off is going to make it feel better because it's
Right.
like going, really? You're putting a lot of weight on me here. So it makes a difference.
Yeah, and
overall.
it's important to get good exercise then that's not going to cause you to go into further pain.
Right.
And so that can be nice to have someone to kind of guide you in the right direction.
Okay. I'm excited because I think this is going to be a whole, a different plan than what we've offered before, and maybe a more workable solution for a lot of folks.
That's
too.
what I'm hoping.
Yeah, because it all ties together. We know that your weight affects other aspects of your health, your heart, diabetes, right? I
Right.
mean, once I always question this: if you've got diabetes because you're obese, if you lose weight, then can you get rid of diabetes?
So
I put you on the
you
spot.
never
sorry.
get rid of diabetes
Okay.
per se, but you could be diet and exercise controlled.
Okay, so you
And that
can
would be fantastic.
Yes, you maintain your health, and so you wouldn't have to do necessarily the insulin and that
Right,
kind
you
of
wouldn't
stuff.
necessarily have to take medication.
Okay.
You just need to get your not monthly, 3 to 6 month lab draw to see if your labs were
sure.
stabilized and things were going well, and it would
Okay.
further keep you away from complications, so it would only benefit you
Sure. Okay.
in multiple aspects.
Right. Well, and like we said, your heart and everything else is all affected by our weight.
Yeah.
And it is a challenge that we all face.
Exactly.
I have guests on the program that come in and talk about our bakery, and I feel like I gained weight just talking to them. So it's good that we have an option here now.
Right.
It kind of sounds like they've taken the best of a number of different programs and kind of put them together. I mean, like Weight Watchers, for instance, and I don't mean to necessarily talk competition maybe, but I mean, they have weekly meetings where they get together kind of as a support group and they do weigh-ins. But they don't have, I don't think, like what you're talking about, a personal trainer and the nutritionist or dietitian that's there to answer questions and give you new information. It's just kind of a weigh-in, here's your tip of the week kind of thing. And
Right.
so you took that little bit of Weight Watchers, and then there's other programs, I think, that have the different meal replacements, like you're talking about. But again, some of those, it's just all meal replacements and not helping you learn
Right.
to live in the real world. And you have to be able to do both.
Exactly.
So what do you do, like for grocery shopping? How do you help people decide?
So we go over healthy shopping, like
Okay.
what are better choices, what are better options, little tips and tools, maybe shopping with a basket versus a cart. Because you can't put as much in a basket
That's
as you
true.
can in the cart. Making sure you have a list, sticking to your list, going when you're not hungry, of course, trying to stick around the perimeter as that tends to be whole foods.
Right. I always thought that's interesting that the outside of the store is where the healthy stuff is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there is a whole marketing philosophy that
Right.
the grocery store has, and so it's in tune to what you would normally do. Like
Right.
you're checking out, and there's a bag of cookies,
Yeah,
of course.
something, yeah.
So you kind of have to be prepared for those things.
Okay.
And what am I going to do?
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we can talk a little bit more about that and the holidays. Okay, we'll be back right after these messages.
Try to avoid going up and down every aisle. If
Yeah.
it's not necessary, bypass
Just skip it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Welcome back to Your Health Matters. My guest today is Jennifer Hardy, who is the program coordinator for OptiFast, and we've been talking about this new program. Very cool. I'm excited. I really think there's going to be some good benefits to this program. I like
feel
about what you're telling me. But just before the break, we were talking about grocery shopping, because that's always a challenge, especially if you go hungry. We've talked about how if you're hungry before you go grocery shopping, you always end up with snacks and more things than you'd planned on buying.
Correct. Oh my goodness, yes.
And to stay to the outside for the most part. Obviously, we still have to get cleaning supplies, whatever that's on the middle aisles, but to try to stay away from the chips aisle and the
Try to avoid going up and down every aisle.
Yeah.
If it's not necessary, bypass
just skip it. Yeah. I actually, I have to admit, I do that. I'm pretty good about having my list, and I don't like frozen foods anymore, so I don't have to worry about the ice cream, and I just stay away from that.
Oh,
whole
good for
section.
you.
Yeah, well, keep trying. But so the fresh produce and those kind of things are obviously better.
Right, and frozen vegetables can be just as good as well. So that part of the frozen section,
Right,
you can
right.
stay away from the other part.
Yeah.
It's a much more affordable option at times, and usually frozen vegetables are cut at the peak and then flash frozen, so they can actually have more nutritional value than sometimes the fresh, because you don't know how long it's been on a truck,
True.
how long it's been in the grocery store, so sometimes.
I hadn't thought about
That's
that.
the benefits
That's a
of
good
both.
point. Okay.
Yeah, and if you tend not to eat your fresh produce quickly enough and you're throwing half of it away,
Yeah, then
it can be much more.
Well,
much
mine
more
goes to the chickens if I don't know.
Ah, well, see, that works.
It's
Just
always multi-use.
yes, and that's a great feed to be
It
feeding your
is.
chickens.
Oh yeah. That's why my eggs are always so good. Yeah,
Excellent,
they
yes.
get fresh stuff too. So it's all
Yeah.
good. So we've also mentioned before the break that we were going to talk about the holidays, which are coming up right around the corner here. We're in the midst of them all, and temptations are everywhere around. Like whatever you do, you should never go into the administration offices of the hospital during the holidays because, oh my goodness, they get inundated with all the different folks that send them Christmas, holiday goodies, and they have candies and cookies and popcorns and everything else. Those poor administrative assistants in that department. I mean, their desks are covered with all this stuff. I'm like, oh,
It is really hard because that's what our brain is set up to want.
the sweets.
Right. I mean,
The chocolates.
You have to think about where we came from. We used to be hunter nomads, right?
They didn't
You
have
can't-
sweets then.
Right. Well, high calorie things is what your brain wanted,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Because you had to store back that calorie. So it's really
Right.
hard, and it's almost like you have to feel it as a battlefield.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
I'm
The
going to
enemy's
try
out
to
to
win
get
the
there.
battle.
The
And at
enemy's out
times,
for me.
it's hard because if you tend to overindulge, or if you can say, I'm going to have one piece.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly. Or else it's better just say, I'm not going to have any, and just,
Yeah.
try to politely decline, or say, oh, thank you, and put it somewhere else.
Right.
And then you can give it to somebody else later.
Yeah.
I know if it's in a break room, sometimes you can try to avoid the break rooms.
Just don't go there.
And it's not always easy. The holidays
Well,
can be hard.
Because I know from myself, I mean, if I'm not around it, I can be fine.
Right.
But if it's there, and it just takes one, and then next thing you know, you've eaten the whole pack.
Exactly. And so it is. We do know it's your environment. If you put healthier options around, you're more apt to choose healthier options. If you have more unhealthy options around, higher calorie items, then you're more apt to pick those.
So we need to tell our guests that are going to be bringing us gifts, make it fresh fruit.
Right, fresh
Fruit
fruit,
baskets are
vegetable.
good.
And that can be hard too, because people don't always think about that.
Yeah.
It's easy to get candies, cookies, cakes.
Oh, I know.
Because
And
everyone
they're-
likes them.
And they're in every store. Again, at the checkout aisles, as did you forget your Uncle Tom for your Christmas gift? Here, buy him this.
Exactly. So if you can stay out of different areas that
Yeah.
have more food, that's going to be more of a temptation for you. That always works better. If you can take one piece and then go back to where you're at,
Yeah.
then it kind of controls what you're doing. Maybe have it at the end, not at the beginning of when you're over there. There's different little things to try and see if one works. It may not, but trying something else different the next time may.
And then would it help to bump up your exercise during that time?
It can. It definitely can help. Like we talk about pre-planned permission. If I get more exercise in, or if I had
Oh.
less calories here or there,
That
can I
sounds
then
like justification to me.
right? And it can be at times, and that's the hard part. You have
Yeah.
to find.
Yeah.
It's that slippery slope. Don't go back into negative thoughts. But okay, I had a piece of candy.
So I'm going to have to be 15 minutes longer on the treadmill
Or
tonight.
else I need to be okay with that and do a couple extra minutes. And
Yeah.
next day I'll do a couple extra minutes and it will be fine.
Okay.
Not, oh, I've had one piece of candy and now I can have the whole bag because I've just blown
I've
it.
blown it, so I might as well eat the whole bag.
Don't be unrealistic with yourself.
Okay. Well, that makes sense too, and I think that's probably a thought process we often have. It's like, oh, I blew it, so now
So
I
who
might
cares?
as- yeah, just ruin the whole day.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely something that happens quite often.
So that's a big project you've set for yourself because you're helping people change their lives, really. They have to really change every aspect of how they look at food, what they...
It's a bigger project, I think, for the individual.
Well,
'Cause they
yes.
really have to want to, and I'm there to help and support them all the way. And it does. It puts a lot on somebody to do. So you have to really make sure you're
You're a
ready
coach.
for it.
You're like the
Yeah.
backline football coach.
Right. You
can
know, you
do
always
it.
give all the credit to your team.
Right. You can do this. I have confidence in you.
Right. Exactly.
That's way cool, though. And so the personal trainers we mentioned, those are going to be like from the wellness center that
Correct.
are going to come in and work with them, and
Yeah.
that'd be cool. I think that's so great. And then you have the option, that the wellness center is right here, and it would fit well into the program. And again, because we don't have that yearly contract, so they can go month to month.
Right. They might sign up for a few months and then figure out they want to keep going. Or else they might have exercise equipment at home. A lot of people do.
But I just remembered too, another thing good that's going on during the holidays is they're doing a special discount, I think, for new members on the orientation fee as well.
It can be
It's
half
like
the
a
orientation.
50% off or something. So this is a good time for folks if they're not happy with their weight to look at that whole picture.
Yeah, or they just want to get their
makes
health back
sense.
in check.
Yeah, awesome. And again, I think it just all ties back, obviously, to what you do with the diabetes as well. So I'm sure it fits well with a lot of your clients that you work with, right? On the
Correct.
diabetes side. And I know we've talked numerous times on the show before about the diabetes education, what you do and how you help them with their blood sugar monitoring and all of that. So I think it's pretty cool what you're doing. And obviously you do it yourself because you're in good shape yourself, so.
I do a few things. There's
Yeah.
some things I can always work on too. So
Well,
we all have.
none of us are perfect.
I
but-
know.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
Well, the good thing, if we can make it through the holidays and not, that's always my goal, to just maintain, just try not to gain any.
Right. And that is really sometimes the goal. It needs to not be about weight loss during the holidays, but maintenance.
Yeah.
Because it's unrealistic to think, I'm going to lose weight when I have all this temptation around
Yes.
me. And that can be hard. And so
Right.
being realistic with yourself is more important at times.
Okay, and we'll just have to work on that. So do you find for yourself that your exercise program that you do for yourself personally, is that, especially, you've got a new baby and those kind of, that makes...
That's probably more of my exercise than anything at
anything
this point, unfortunately. And so that is lacking on my part. And so it's important for anyone of any weight, any health range to get exercise in, because it does help keep muscle mass up, which helps your immune system, which helps your strength. I always tell people you want to keep your independence as long as possible.
Absolutely.
And if you have a good start with it, then you're only going to keep it.
Yeah,
So-
that makes total sense. Now, how long have you been, you've been here for a few years now at KRMC.
A little over a year, almost 2.
I was going to say, I thought it was more like 3. Time flies when we're having fun,
I
I
know.
guess. Just seems like you've been here longer.
I know, that's a good thing, right?
Well, yeah, no, it was a good thing. I was just trying to think because I know you've been on the show talking about the monitoring and I thought OptiFest, but I guess I was thinking that was longer than just 2 years ago. That we
I know
started.
someone else started the program,
Oh.
but I came in soon after they
Right,
started
yeah.
it, so we
I think
we
you
look
were
similar.
pretty well, and you were pretty much the one that got it going. I mean, they might have brought it, but you kept it moving. So.
Yeah, we kept it moving after they got the big group, so it was
yeah,
good.
Yeah. And it is, like you said, I think that the changes you've made, and what is the new name for it? What do you
It's
call
going
it?
to be 90 days to change,
90 days
featuring
to change.
OptiFast.
Yeah, okay, that's good. I think there's just really some good opportunities there for our community. And we all know that weight's a battle that we all fight, so.
Correct.
All right. Well, thank you again for being on the program, for sharing the 90 days to change, help with that New Year's resolution. So,
Well, thanks for having me.
so I hope you have learned something new today and that you'll use that New Year's resolution to help get that weight off for you too. And stay tuned next week because we'll have another great guest on the program then.
Clear. Good.